California and Bay Area, it's pretty much expensive. So you can expect somewhere between 130 to 200K in base. Mechanical engineering, so I was not aware much about the coding stuff, not any of the fancy stuff which people think is necessary. So I learned analytics first.
Paytm was a turning point.
So on-site round itself is something that has 4 to 5 interviews. I'd say SQL is underrated, from gyms to food courts. So you have that fun part, you have games, you have like micro kitchen. Yeah, that's probably our culture. We start early and end early.
Hello data lovers, I hope you all are doing super amazing. So as always, I'm back with another amazing and super interesting podcast for the data engineers, and this time with a very good friend of mine. We both were working in a same company, which you will get to know inside the video, but currently he's working as a data engineer at Meta. He actually comes from the mechanical engineering background, who had no background with the coding at all, but still he worked with companies like Paytm, Amazon, and currently at Meta as a data engineer. So he will be sharing his entire experience, most important opportunities in India versus abroad, the plans for the MS, the taxes, salaries, expenses, lifestyle in abroad, the complete interview process of the Meta for the data engineering role, which is rare to find over the internet. What all skill sets of data engineering you need to master to work in companies like Amazon and Meta, and a typical life of a data engineer at Meta. So there are lots of things from this video which you can learn, and it will be really helpful. I can guarantee this part, and if you find it insightful and you find it value adding, then hit the like button so that this can reach to maximum people. And let me know in the comment section which company you are targeting for 2023 to start your data engineering journey. And a quick announcement for everyone, my job guaranteed Big Data Bootcamp 2.0, basically a batch 2, is actually starting from the 5th of November. You can still enroll in this program. You can find the link in the description and the coupon code which you can use. And to know more about this program and what all things you will be getting in it, I have already created one dedicated video regarding this. So go and watch it completely and enroll in this program right now. Thank you so much, Nitin, for joining me on my podcast, and very excited for this one. First thing, this is regarding the data engineer who is working at Meta. Second part, I know Nitin from Paytm itself. So he was working at Paytm Banks and I was working in Paytm, and we both belongs to the data engineering space. Nitin, if you can give your introduction to the audience and anything about your past academic background and professional background, because I have lots of things to talk about you, but I don't want to hijack your limelight here.
Getting into my background, I have almost 5 years of experience working as a data engineer. I have worked in various companies. As you spoke, we were together in Paytm. I had a good amount of experience from there. Getting into the big data world initially, it was quite challenging, and I was out of curiosity. I was interested in working in those kind of streams and stuff. So I had my background in mechanical engineering. I did my graduation in undergrad in mechanical engineering. So I was not aware much about the coding stuff and all of those software development kind of things. So it took me a good amount of deal and time to get accommodated with it, to get focused and fluent with all sort of different things that go into it. Gaining experience at Paytm was a good deal. Then I went into Amazon. I was working for the Alexa team in Hyderabad, India. It was overall a great experience to learn those stuff. After that, I did my master's, moved to US, completed my master's in Michigan State. Again, doing that in business analytics field.
Okay.
So it was more of a data science oriented stuff about machine learning and application, not exactly the research science part. And then here I am at Meta serving as a data engineer again.
Coming to your background, mechanical engineering, I can understand at least the coding challenge part, right? Like it would have been a kind of hustle for you. But the main interesting thing I want to know, how did you find your interest for the data domain and data engineering, right? Is it like something which happened randomly, like you got into such kind of job, or you build your curiosity in this data domain by your own?
So early in my career, it started with a curiosity. So I was working, like when I actually started working, I was working with a couple of consultants. I was in a startup dealing with a lot of consultants who were working in McKinsey and stuff and
Oh.
doing their own startups. So we were sort of servicing them with different stuff. I used to when you talk with a consultant who is well versed in technology and stuff, and they do their analysis, that's in a way lucrative enough to see how they analyze things, how they bring information out of certain data points. That caught my interest. That caught me up. Like I was pretty much interested in how I can learn these stuff, and I literally started working on Excel, not any of the fancy stuff which people think is necessary. So I learned analytics first.
Okay.
And slowly from there, as the scale grew, as I understood that more and more big data and things are going to come in, the data is growing exponentially and things are growing around in the market, that caught me up. I started as a data analyst, ventured into data science for a bit, but eventually landed into data engineering. Paytm and the company before that played the most important part in pivoting me as a data engineer, like actually working into big data stuff. And that's probably how it is.
And I can totally relate your point, which you mentioned for the Paytm. So Paytm was a turning point for my career as well. Like to go full time into data engineering. Prior to that, working on proprietary tools, not having enough experience into the big data and all. What's the better way, like to pursue our career in India, especially for the data profiles? Let's say the analytics, data science, data engineering, or easily we can find these opportunities if we do our MS, right, and then find opportunities there. So same thought process was yours, or you had a random plan to go for MS and pursue your career outside India?
Yeah, that question pops up a lot, and I'd say it was well planned. I always wanted to go for masters, so I always wanted to learn more, and it was kind of a set in mind kind of thing where I was pretty much already convinced that I need a master's to work on something that is related to my field. Second thing, it came from a point I used to feel that since my graduation was not related to computer science or data engineering stuff, maybe I'm lagging on something, and probably this master will help me fulfill that gap. Like, give me that confidence of moving around with ease and being around with people at the same pace and same frequency. You know, right? That it just fills me up with confidence. Third thing being, my brother also did masters, and there was a lot of conversation between me and him discussing different stuff. So it was like at a point I actually didn't want to go to do that masters because Amazon was pretty much quite paying me well enough in India. But I turned up doing it anyway. So going on that. Now answering your second question, whether that's a good choice or not, that actually depends on how you perceive it. I believe companies like Intuit, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, like all of them are hiring in India and paying a beautiful handsome salary,
Correct.
right? So, and I pretty much say, if you're earning that amount in India and you're saving equally good in India, you don't actually have a need to move to US or London or any other country for that matter.
Okay.
But there is a want, and there's a thing that if you want to move into academic stuff, you want to learn more. My one of my motivation was to live my college life again, to be really honest. So if you have any of those aspirations to grow in that field or live that life again or move into that and you have a choice to do that, I would say it's pretty much your call. If you think you're doing great already, no need. Well enough. I have seen people who have been working there, moved to US with some company visa and did great. And they are still doing great. I've seen people who immediately moved after their graduation and still are struggling in US. Like they are, like there are people. So it will not make your path certain or and not put a seal on anything. you still have to work your way to get wherever you want to.
I will definitely ask this question to the audience itself. By given a choice, what would you prefer, like pursue your career in India itself or go for higher studies and then figure out great opportunities there? So just let me know your opinion in the comment section. Can you share the complete interview process, right, for the Meta, for the especially the data engineer role? And I'm not asking the exact interview question because yes, that is not ethical, but at least round by round you can give the highlights to the audience that how many rounds will be there, and in each round what all things they need to focus in order to crack data engineering role at Meta.
So going into that, you can expect somewhere between 5 to 7 rounds.
Oh.
It starts with HR contacting you. If they see your profile, they really like it. They get to you and they are gonna set up a screening round. We call it 5 by 5.
Okay.
So it's 5 SQL and 5 Python questions. Not really tough. It's just to check whether you are gonna survive the on-site round or not. If I may say that, that's not an official comment. That's just my perspective on it. But pretty much that's what I feel.
Okay.
After that, you have an on-site round. So on-site round itself is something that has 4 to 5 interviews, basically. Starts with again SQL stuff. Someone will come to you. You'll end up solving some SQL questions like you do every time. Then it's Python or any language of your choice. By Python, I mean any language of your choice.
Okay.
You solve certain questions on that. You set that up, solve it, probably pass some test cases and stuff, and you're good to go. The main stuff comes after that, and I would say that's the challenging part. So there are 2 data modeling rounds.
Okay.
So one is data modeling, another is data architecture. So if you know about data modeling, it's all about designing how your data should look like. Be it a warehouse, be it a lake, be it any floating architecture that's moving around in these times in the modern data warehouse era, or data warehouse 2.0 that I would call. Designing those optimally, and they will get you into a case scenario explaining that this is your company, this is something. So you have to be really interactive in it. Like you have to ask questions that you want. You're more of a consultant, less of an interviewer or interviewee kind of thing, more of a client and consultant kind of thing in there. They'll give you a scenario, you ask questions, solve it, lead to a solution eventually in that 1 hour round. Similar for the data architecture, what kind of infra and architecture would you prepare? So I get it, what kind of table structure you have, but what kind of flow and layers and planning and reporting structure do you prepare? So that's about it. If you get through these, then you have a system design round.
Okay.
So they will ask you to design, give you an HLD and LLD of any complex or simple system.
Okay.
It could be as complex as Twitter or YouTube. It could be as simple as a file transfer system.
Okay.
It really depends on the level that you are applying for, the role that you are applying for, and the team that you are applying for. But so, for example, just to give you an idea, 𝗖𝗵6 would not get to design a simple file transfer system, right? Yes, they would definitely expect an 𝗖𝗵6 to do much more.
Correct.
So that's there, and then you have optionally you have a cross-functional round where they have it's like a bar raiser for Amazon or behavior for Microsoft. Similarly, they have a cross-functional in Facebook.
This insight will definitely help the audience to prepare themselves in that direction, what would be expected in at least FAANG level companies. So thanks for that. So what is required from aspiring data engineers in terms of the core skill sets to crack these companies, right? Because there are lots of buzzwords, there is lots of noise as well. Okay, data engineers need to know this, that, blah blah stuff, and that is the point where obviously the new generation which is coming into data engineering, they feel completely lost. Okay, what I am supposed to do and what I need to prepare so that I can crack these big tech firms. So what's your take on that?
I'd say SQL is underrated. Most of the people, they get on lead code, start doing Python, keep doing it. They really forget about how important SQL is for a data engineer.
Yeah.
I was once conversating from like back of the mind, I remember there was a person in Ola. He was a really, really senior person, and we were discussing, and he said this line that SQL is bread and butter for a data engineer. And
Yeah.
that really, really stuck to me, and that I believe is very much true. So do focus on SQL first. If you don't know that, if you don't have the analytical ability, you won't actually grow anywhere. Right? You are lost already if you don't have that. Coming next, people have different choice of languages, and from my perspective, anything is fine. When you go to a tech company or any big company, they have their own frameworks, they have their own things juiced up, which is like a car already designed. You just have to drive it. So you are anyway gonna land into something which is already built in, and you have to work on it. So you will anyways end up learning it. So choose a language of your choice. Don't concentrate. Some people are like, I don't understand Scala. So don't focus on it. It's fine to not know it. It's fine if you know JavaScript and still do the same thing. But learn the object-oriented programming part. Learn how to build actual scalable code. I have seen people who come in with a ton of lead code experience, but are in a very, I would say, uh, in a very bad shape when you actually talk about object-oriented stuff. If you say how to design a system, that's what is the base or core of it. That's what
Facts.
you build, and yeah. So that's what companies are actually after. They don't have any other way to test you. That's why they have this lead code paradigm moving in, and that's how they test your ability, or probably just take a taste of your ability, if I may say. But actually, what they need once you are in a team is designing a system, building it in a way that it's reusable, scalable, maintainable for a very long term. So all of the fancy things, keep it aside, go back to your base, learn those solid principles, your basic factory, abstract factory, prototype, and all of those designs that you may have heard of, and focus on it, because you might get into a company with lead code,
Yeah.
but you will not scale if you don't have that knowledge. And then if you have your base strong, ready, that's the column of your building. Now let's start building the superstructure around it. So I call that superstructure as distributed system. I don't prefer anything. Hive, Presto, Spark, method of your choice. Choose it and learn how it actually works in a very base. Everything has one component as a master. If I talk about Hive, it is the name node. If I talk about Spark, that's the master worker or the master node. So I think that I would say it's the driver. If people start correcting in the comments, it's a driver versus worker, just to make that correct. So learn any distributed system, learn it, because when you deal with data at scale, you have to distribute it, work around, and I believe more or less every system works the same. They distribute it in a similar fashion. They only have two types, either controlled by a master or have a gossip protocol. Learn how it works. You learn one in a very good way. Others are just a translation of it. So it's like if you speak Hindi or English, you learn one language, and you sort of learn another language in reference to it.
Correct.
So if your base is not strong, your references will always be broken. So do that. And if your superstructure is ready, if you have your base ready and superstructure ready, then let's start building the rooms and the luxury part in it. Then go for the fancy stuff. Then go for tools and specific things like, okay, so I know Spark. Now let's learn Hive. Now let's learn Presto. Now Trino, data mesh, data fabric, all the buzzwords that you can keep reading, because these are just the tip of an iceberg.
Yeah.
And you have like data engineering is whole North Pole, if I may. So then your exploration is endless, but only if you have the fundamentals right. Otherwise, you don't have a fundamental, you don't have an exploration, you're not going anywhere. You're just gonna keep getting around in circles and ultimately end up frustrating yourself.
So whatever skill sets Nitin has mentioned, if you feel and you want to rate yourself on those skill sets out of 10 or 5, just put all those things in the comment section. I want to see how much you guys are preparing to be a good data engineer. So why not to talk about a life of a data engineer at Meta? So how your like typical day starts in Meta, how you proceed with the things, and how you end up, right? So it would be pretty good if you can give a feel to the audience about working at Meta.
I work for the Menlo Park office. We really have a very hybrid and flexible culture. So things are always driven by the team. We visit office probably twice or thrice a week, optionally. You don't have to, but if your team is around, you may want to do it. Meet them, be around them, and do that. Um, and as far as working culture goes, as people like as my colleagues say, it's like we are already playing in NFL of leagues, or if in Indian reference, it's like IPL of domestic cricket. So you are already in a very big playground, too many things moving around, and at a very fast pace. So you really have to cope up with that. And things in these companies are about how proactive are you in doing something, how much ownership do you take, and how much is your impact in a given certain period of time. It could be a quarter, it could be a half, it could be annual, but what kind of impact do you drive? And you have to ponder on it yourself. Nobody is going to poke you to do that or push you to do that. It's not going to be like your manager comes in, assigns you 10 tasks, and at the end of sprint, you're like, I'm done. That's my plate of things, and I'm not doing anymore. It's not going to work like that. It's bottom up. So you actually have to drive what you want. So it gives you two things. It gives you a lot of power in terms of choosing what you actually want to do. It also gives you the bad part, that is, if you are not proactive, you will be left behind,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not saying it's actually a race. It's more of people want to be entrepreneur or those fancy things these days, right? You are being one here. And I guess you're getting paid for a similar thing around. Like if you're getting paid at a top 1% pay rate, or probably if I call it 99% percentile, you're gonna work like that, and they're gonna expect you to work like that.
True.
So that is there, but it doesn't mean you don't have fun around. So we have our campus with a lot of things in there, from gyms to food courts to you can just actually literally go and bike around the campus. So they have these bikes. Every other company has it: Google, Amazon, Facebook. It's nothing fancy about Facebook. Sorry, Meta. No offense. But so you have that fun part. You have games. You have like micro kitchens. Food is actually amazing. I actually like some of the things. There is a like Mexican place, which is probably one of the best that I had in this area.
Wow.
So those things are amazing. Ambience is good. They have a very, I would say, creative office. So there are tons of videos on YouTube. They have these creative posters and colorful buildings and stuff. That's a good part. So it's not like you're only gonna be expected to work hard. You're also gonna be rewarded with that amount of things in there. And they try and keep everything as positive as they can.
Okay.
They just expect you to deliver. So for my typical day, I start my day at 7:30. So yeah, that's probably our culture. We start early and end early. It's not like I'm gonna work till 9 or 10. Something like that.
Great.
So I start my day at 7:30. Check the mails, check what my schedule looks like. If there is any meeting or something, I try to end it up and close it before 10, so that I have my focus day after that
Okay.
to work on the things that I'm assigned with, or I have myself to do. Probably get into it, deal with it, get done with it by 3 or 4.
Okay.
And after that, probably like till 6 or something, I usually get my free time. So I take it out to think on what I am doing or I'm gonna do. I am working with people in London, Singapore, India, and Menlo Park. Even in US, we have 3 different time zones to interact. So I have calls all around the day.
Okay.
So that pretty much scattered because I need to coordinate with different time zones.
Mm-hmm.
So the time schedule that I said, it's not very stringent. I do start at 7:30, but I might take a break from 11 to 1 and then start from 2 to 6 or something like that. I keep it
Okay.
flexible.
Okay.
But I would say it's not like you're only working. You're pretty much doing what you actually want to do. And I'm not romanticizing working hard, like working hard as in long hours and stuff. If you can deliver what you have to deliver within 4 hours, good enough. Nobody's going to poke you.
Correct.
If you can deliver that in 16 hours, nobody's going to bother you either way.
These are the things, right? At least this should actually push you, right, to think in that direction, right? How you can be the part of these sort of companies, enjoy that chill vibe, the chill environment, experimental environment, learning environment. So yes, these are the core qualities, right? And that is why, like, most of the people are very much aspired to be a part of that MANG level companies. So you cannot
There are no work dresses or dress code or anything. People literally show up in shorts and tank tops and they're like t-shirts or something. I see them waking up, sort of waking up in office, not because they worked hard. It's like they come up to office dressed up like that. They probably biked to the office so that they could exercise on their way. They probably hit the gym and they're coming in, they take a shower and sit around for some time and then they start working. So it's totally flexible, up to you how you want to design.
Not a typical corporate environment, okay, proper
No.
formal dresses,
No.
come by 9, leave by 6 and all these things. So yeah, these are the vibes everybody looks for. How much data engineers are getting paid in MANG companies outside India locations? Like, most of the folks have decent idea about their pay scale in India itself, but how is this scenario outside India and how those components are divided if we talk about the salary, CTC or target compensation?
So I'll take the component first, like component part first. That's about how it's distributed. So it's broken down into 3 parts. One is your base pay. Second is your bonus or performance bonus that you call it. And then third is your RSUs or stocks.
Right.
Basically. Stocks are generally divided into 4 years. They have their own vesting schedule. Some companies have quarters, some have different year or annual and things like that. But generally 4 years of vesting period. Talking about base and how much that is, it is a very subjective question, especially in US, because here things change with every location, with every position, with every level that you apply for.
Okay.
So, like I can speak for California. California and Bay Area, it's pretty much expensive. It's one of the most expensive places in the world. So, being expensive means you will get more salary.
Okay.
So you can expect somewhere between 130 to 200K in base.
200
plus
$200K dollars as base pay?
Yeah, you can. Like at some companies. I'm not talking specifically about Meta.
Correct,
I'm talking about all the MANG put together. Yeah.
That
So
average
for
is
example,
200K and that experience will be like, again, 5 to 6, and that is pretty much good amount.
experience I would say is between 3 to 9.
Okay.
I would take the range as a bit large because entry level jobs like L4 for Amazon, 𝗖cie for Facebook, and those things, they come up with 2 to 3 years of experience. Then you have 𝗖cie4 or L5 at probably 5, comfortably around that. And then you have above that at 8, 7 to 8 or plus. So yeah, more like 3 to 8.
Okay.
And around those levels. But people are getting that. So for example, Netflix doesn't actually give stocks.
Okay.
It gives most of it around cash, and I have seen people with 400, 450 total comp. So that's a huge amount.
Right,
That's a
right.
huge
More
amount.
than like 2-3 CRs as a base pay. Wow, crazy.
It's not exactly base. It's for Netflix, I believe it's base plus bonus.
But still, whatever it
I'm
is, it's the
not
cash
pretty sure.
component, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty big.
Yeah, it's the cash. Yeah, it's the cash. But you are also taxed on it at a very good level.
Yeah.
So
The cost of living and
that
all these
comes.
factors, yeah.
Cost of living is great. Tax component is much more. So I guess India is like at the 30% higher
Mm-hmm.
slab. Here you have it as 40 when you put everything together,
Okay.
more like it. So that takes out a significant
So that
component out
tax
of your pocket.
component is something which is the most hectic and the most saddest thing everywhere.
Yes, yes, yes. So that's there. But again, this is about California. If you plan to move to US and you're around somewhere in Midwest, probably. So I was in Michigan before this. So if you move to Michigan and
Hmm.
suppose that you're going to work in the same environment at the same scale, you will observe a 20 to 25%, 20% approx average pay cut
Okay.
from
Okay.
what you're getting. At least that's the least because
Hmm.
cost of living is equally low. Taxes in that state are equally low. So US has tax based on every state. They
Hmm.
have different taxes and their different systems and city tax and all of that stuff.
Okay.
Also the cost of living. Just to give you an idea, the apartment that you can rent in Michigan, supposedly a two-bedroom house, kitchen, and then everything with a park and everything included, could be somewhere around $1,100. And
$1,100.
in Bay Area, yeah, and in Bay Area that would cost you around 400 to 400, 4,000 to $4,500.
Oh,
It's almost four times
wow.
if you talk just about rent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's definitely expensive.
Hmm.
So that's why they reduce and jump in compensation.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's pretty much varied in US. But also from what I know, my personal knowledge, US gives you the most amount of stock compared to any other country.
Hmm.
Because obviously you are working in the country with headquarters and they probably privilege you more if it's
Hmm.
the case. I'm not sure. I'll probably cut out this. Let's not talk about that.
Sure.
But
Sure.
yeah, because I might be wrong. This is my
Hmm.
perspective on it. I'm not really sure about that as fact.
No, but it's still like on an average, we can easily say in terms of the, let's say, Indian salary. So anything, if you're having, let's say, 3 to 6 or 9 years of experience, so easily 2 CR plus, right? Including your
Yeah,
most of
so
the
if you
components
talk about
easily.
average of all the Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Netflix, Google put together, you can average it out at 150 base
Mm-hmm.
plus 20 to 25 as bonus
Mm-hmm.
and around 30 to 40K of RSU per year. So
Okay.
that brings your compensation to somewhere around 200, 220K dollars
Yeah. Right, right. So somewhere
minus
like
the
close
yeah.
to like between 1.5 to TC 2 CR always in an
Yeah.
average. Yeah. So thank you so much at least for these kind of insights. So I think people will get the good idea that how things are happening in US, how folks are earning there, and how much tax is getting deducted, the cost of living. So this will give them a better idea. Now you guys can definitely decide what works best for you, the India, outside India. Thank you so much, Nitin. I think whatever you have shared based on your experiences, be it the whole journey from mechanical to data engineering now at Meta and previously cracking Paytm and Amazon. So all that wholesome experience is pretty amazing, and thank you for joining us and sharing it with the audience. And this would be pretty much helpful for all the aspiring data engineers. So from my side and from the whole audience side, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot for inviting me. Paytm just came to my mind again and again because we were talking about it and we were working there at the same time and we had a
Yes.
really good and a nice team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and I have still a good amount of friends from Paytm.
Yep.
So I really have a special place for that.
Correct, correct. Similarly, like a great soft corner for Paytm. Again, I keep on
Yeah.
saying in every webinar or every meetup that yes, that was the turning point for my data engineering career as well. And same thing happened with you. So yeah, like these companies pretty much startup phases, right? So ample amount of learning opportunities,
Mhm.
pretty much experimental things. But yeah, that has been our journey so far. Anyways, thank you so much, Nitin. So that's what I had for you guys in this amazing podcast. I am pretty sure you would have enjoyed this entire journey of Nitin and the whole experience of working as data engineer at Meta. If you find it interesting, if you find it value adding as a data engineer or a data professional, then hit the like button quickly. And also if you're new to the channel, then smash the subscribe button and press the notification icon. I will see you guys in the next weekend with another amazing stuff related to data engineering, data science, whatever. So till then, just keep exploring data.